My name is Moses Correa.
I'm Taylor Sheehan.
I'm Amy Zhuang.
And I'm Jack Darland, and we have presented today the March Group Project, and so we're all going to go into the pieces that we put together.
Our group collectively went through each of the 13 2MCs and related the tragedies letters to each 2MC individually. We found that across all letters, each was applicable to each 2MC. And we also found that more letters were more relevant than others. My name's Taylor Sheehan, and I developed a discussion leader outline specifically for the UPIC2 2MC. So as the B101 curriculum continues to evolve over time, it's very important to tie the concepts of the tragedies into future activities just as strongly as we've tied personal scripts and the decision-making framework into the current activities that we do in class now. One way to present this is to separately analyze the decision-making framework and the tragedies in order to avoid a muddied, saturated, just less effective discussion overall. In order to do this, the room can be split into half. One side would work on the rules and regulations through the options of the framework, while the other side would work on the issues from the framework, as well as all the letters of the tragedies and how they relate to the 2MC specifically. This is because that the issues and the tragedies most closely tie together, and it would be very beneficial to incorporate the letters and the issues into this step of the framework. Also, it would be just helpful for this guide to break down each of the letters of the tragedies and how they can be specifically applied to the UPIC2 2MC. So I listed on my guide a list of all the letters in order, and whether it's personal scripts or internal messages that someone can be thinking in that situation, or just questions that you can ask in those situations, and applying those letters to the specific 2MC and the dilemma that's currently at stake.
My name is Moses Correa, and I developed a section leader outline for a new 2MC that will hopefully be implemented in the fall. The 2MC that I developed has to do a lot with soccer and high school sports. I chose to do it on this because it is relatable to students, because a lot of them will have been involved in sports or other extracurricular activities that would have something to do with 2MC. The 2MC I developed: you are the coach for a soccer team. The team has been working hard all season, and you guys are in the final for the regional game. You also know that you will likely get a bonus if you win, and the local college is looking for a new head coach that would offer you a raise and a lot more benefits. Unfortunately, the game is after the homecoming dance for the high school. You have specifically prohibited any of the team members from playing, and also the IHSA has made clear rules that drinking is illegal. Chris and Kevin are the two best players on the soccer team, and you will likely not win the game if they don't play. They show up that morning, and it is easy to tell that both of them had disobeyed you, and both of them are hungover, and neither of them can. I chose to divide the classroom into 4 different groups to successfully recognize each part of the tragedies and also each part of the decision-making framework. The 4 groups that I identified were: Group 1 would talk about the first half of the decision-making framework, which is issues, rules, questions, and resources. Group 2 would talk about the remainder of the decision-making framework: options, who is affected, and lastly, what do you do? Group 3, on the other side of the classroom, would talk about the first few letters of tragedies, so temptation, rationalization, ambition, and group pressure. Lastly, Group 4 would discuss entitlement, deception, incrementalism, embarrassment, and stupid systems. This way, each of the letters of the tragedies, as well as each step in the decision-making framework, will be addressed without muddled and confusing conversation in the classroom. This 2MC is beneficial, like I said, because of the relevance that it has to the B101 students that I will be teaching in the fall.
My name is Amy Zhuang, and for this project, I interviewed 2 previous section leaders on how we should incorporate tragedies into the Business 101 curriculum. So the 3 ideas that we had for presentation of tragedies were: 1, incorporate within the 2MCs as we go along the decision-making framework. 2, for each class activity, have an element of tragedies present, whether it is identifying the most relevant tragedies or center the activities strictly around tragedies to let the students know them better. And number 3, using the kicker boxes on the bottom of the slides to relate tragedies to students' lives and PR connections so there will be enough time in class to cover other professional responsibility concepts originally planned on the curriculum. The first section leader that I interviewed was Annie Wong, and she said that the tragedies tend to run short on time due to the lengthiness of the presentation. So the best way to develop successful activities is to build a strong understanding of the concepts in the beginning when we teach tragedies. In regards of our presentation ideas, she thinks that including section leader stories that relates to some letters of the tragedies will better personalize the content to students. And in addition, she thinks that tragedies tend to focus on career-oriented topics, so students can benefit from knowing that tragedies can occur at any point in their professional careers. The second section leader that I interviewed was Jen Smigowski, and she said that tragedies lend itself better to continual incorporation to different activities throughout the semester. She really liked our idea on incorporating tragedies into every class activity because students will be reinforced of the concepts. She thinks that the best place for tragedies is a constant presence throughout the semester. So every topic that we cover should have some element where one letter, at least, of the tragedies can be applied. She also thinks that simplicity is better when teaching, and the impact on students is greater when we're teaching in a simple and direct way. In regards to the incorporation of the 2MCs, she says that not every 2MC is relevant to the tragedies very well, so some are a better fit than others, and she thinks that there is no point in doing it every week if we're going to be stretching our connections just to make it a weekly thing.
My name is Jack Darlin, and I was in charge of the section leader guide for incorporating tragedies into the 2-minute challenges. So the main goal here when creating this guide for me was to first look at the benefits that the tragedies have when contributing to the 2-minute challenges. So I went through and I wrote a paragraph introduction for all the section leaders to read about these benefits. And when I looked at the benefits, I really looked at what first the 2-minute challenges give. The 2-minute challenges, when going through the decision-making framework, they give the idea of how you should think about a certain dilemma and what you should use to come up with your decision. Now, it's not necessarily what the right and wrong decision is, but it's going through the framework and figuring out the best option. Now, the reason that tragedies fit so well into these 2-minute challenges is based on the idea that there are certain factors that may contribute to a decision as well that aren't shown already in the decision-making framework. Tragedies looks at outside factors or certain things such as temptation or rationalization that are going to go along with reasons that may influence your decision in one way or another. So after giving this description of the different benefits that you have from using tragedies, I went ahead and I put in our example from our project for the stop sign 2-minute challenge and going through the tragedies there. So we listed out all 9 letters of tragedies in the correct order, and we went through for each letter and described the different reason why this part of tragedy was included in this 2-minute challenge. Then after that, we went and described the 2 tragedies that were most important when looking at the 2-minute challenge. I think that if you put this after each 2-minute challenge description that the section leaders will look at prior to class, it's a great reminder of which tragedies are actually included in this 2-minute challenge, because all 9 should be really seen in all 13 of the 2MCs. But then it also really hammers in which tragedies are most important. Now, the reason that that's going to be important is because in class, you're obviously not going to have time to discuss all 9 tragedies. You just want to focus on the couple that are most important for the students to remember. So this way is a guide for all of the section leaders to remember how to incorporate tragedies into each and every 2-minute challenge. And I feel like it's going to be an effective way for the students to learn why each tragedy is important and continue to develop that thought process when combining the 2-minute challenges with the tragedies. So with that, thank you for listening to our March group project. I hope you enjoyed, and contact us with any questions. Thank you.